hoping and I'm praying as my heart breaks right in two. Walk in the clover, you left me and you went away. You said that you'd be back in just a day.
I grew up thinking that the pretty, pretty princess, if I could just be pretty and skinny and smile and be sweet, then one day my prince would come and sweep me up and carry me away on a beautiful horse. And guess what? It's bullshit. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It was a myth.
Katie Pinholster.
Yes, Rabia.
The honor of a lifetime to have you here with me.
Thank you.
In this moment, this full circle moment. I know people know you as the IT therapist in town. You know, you're a licensed professional counselor, you're a rehabilitation counselor. You've been voted by Sandy Springs the best of. You're the place people come when on the outside everything looks perfect, high achieving, very successful families, but on the inside things are really broken.
Very. A lot of times.
I mean, you are the great granddaughter of a former governor of Tennessee.
Albert Houston Roberts.
You are the daughter of a athletic, in the Athletic Hall of Fame for Georgia.
Right.
A state legislator.
Right.
You come from a very high profile family.
Mm-hmm. I do. My dad came from what he called a dirt farm in Clyteville, Georgia. And he was, I think they were quite poor. And he was one of 12 children, my father. He talked a lot about just, back in Clyteville, we would wrestle alligators. And if we had a hammer or an axe and we were working on something out on the farm and we broke it, they would go to their mother and say, hey, I broke this. He said one time he went and asked her if she could fix it. And she said, why, what are you thinking? Get out there and get you a stick and whittle it down and fix that thing.
Wow.
So his idea very early on was that of gumption. He believed, and his mother strongly believed, that you push through hard things and you figure it out. You pull yourself up and you go, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
He did. He got out of there, and he, went to school, and he got higher education and got into athletics.
And then he made history. I mean,
Yes.
I know that he's well known in the sport of basketball.
Mm-hmm. He's written a lot of basketball books. Mm-hmm.
People know who your father is in Atlanta and beyond.
It's interesting because I think of him so much and his legacy in terms of all the things he achieved and all the things he accomplished. But the truth of the matter is, I was just a little girl. I wanted my daddy. I didn't care about the boardroom. Mm-mm. So it was this sort of dichotomy, of he had this very big life and was this sort of larger than life person. And I just wanted to sit in his lap and be loved.
And then we talk about your mother and her background. I know that her father passed away from suicide after, a bout of alcoholism.
Yes.
She herself suffered from
Right.
dealing with alcoholism. And so when I think about you, and I think about you and I relate so much to this, it's like you were a feral young child.
Rabia, I came into the world drunk. I was born drunk.
Wow.
My mom was drinking heavily when she was pregnant with me, and she was very sick, very wounded at that time. And so I think the first, couple of years of my life, I was raised pretty much by my oldest sister, who was 8 years old at the time, in terms of food and diaper changing and stuff like that. And I was pretty much raised nutritionally on bottles of sugar water. It was a coping skill that was taught to me early. And it was about this much brown sugar in a baby bottle with a little bit of hot water shaken up into a syrup. And that's what I ate. I ate that whenever I wanted to. So I had it morning, noon, and night, all the time. And I believe that is where my eating disorder began.
And I know that we've talked about mother hunger. Mother hunger is a term that was coined by Kelly McDaniel, and it's for people that are raised without the nurturance, guidance, or protection of a maternal figure. And it sets people up for addiction,
Yes.
for trying to substitute and find nurturance and mothering in food, in sex,
Yes.
in relationships, love addiction.
All of that. Been there and done that.
We both have. And it's been a lifelong battle to try to figure out how to mother ourselves.
Right. Right. How to take over as a healthy, nurturing parent to myself. And I think it's a lifelong process. I really do. I don't think it's going to be something that, ta-da, I arrive at whatever age, because of course I used to think in my 20s, I will arrive when I'm 30. And then when I was 30, I will arrive when I'm 40. And here we are, and I'll be 60 in a month.
Oh,
and
amazing.
I don't think I'm done.
No, you're just beginning. You are just beginning. Gosh, I mean, what a gift you've been in my life. You know, I didn't receive that nurturance, and I consistently was able to come to you for that support. And to me, that's what's so beautiful, is that I imagine you just feral, running in the woods, barefoot, you know, drinking sugar water.
Yep.
Smoking cigarettes by the age of 13.
Right.
Running with the wrong crowd, trying to get attention and love anywhere, everywhere, and just hurting and harming yourself.
Right.
And then here you are, and have been for years, holding a safe container for teenagers who are missing that same mothering.
Yeah.
And you're shining all this love and nurturance on them.
I hope so.
Oh my gosh, Katie.
It's what I really want to do.
It's what you do. You just emanate goddess, cosmic mother energy.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
a
you.
gift.
I love them too.
I know
mean,
you
I
do.
feel so grateful for it. I feel so blessed and full with this work that I do with women, with teenagers, with everybody. I just feel grateful to be the tour guide and to be a part of it. It's nice. I'm in it, and I'm actually participating. So it feels like such a blessing and an honor. She was so much fun, and you can even see between my mother and my father the vast difference there in just their energy sitting there. My father was very A-type, uptight, tense. My mother was this beautiful, creative person who just wanted to have fun and play and understand the world more deeply, and they were very different. The most real picture of my brother that I have was this one. That was when he was in his 20s, and he died when he was 28. It's so funny. He loved working on cars. He was always dirty. He was always in the shop tinkering with things. He died on March 6th, 2004. I can say that my brother's suicide was the very hardest, most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life so far. And it's something that is there all the time. It doesn't ever go away. I've gotten, some healing and so forth as time has passed. It's been 20 years now since his death. But the other suicides in my family, the suicide of my grandfather, for example, the suicide of my cousin, those were on the outskirts for me. The death of my brother was like as if someone just ripped out a part of me and my soul. It was an atomic bomb that exploded in my life, and I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from that, but I've also learned that you can find joy in understanding, in just understanding and knowing that there's a bigger purpose. There's more than just this. There's a lot more. And my little brother, John, has definitely shown me that even after he's passed. One day, here's an example. I'm driving down the highway And I was just screaming to God in the car, just screaming, where are you? Where are you? What has happened? Where are you? And it was so weird. I pulled up at the exit at the stoplight, and right in front of me was a car. And the back window of the car was this famous silhouette of Elvis Presley, kind of going like this. And it was just, a black silhouette and really large letters right at the bottom that said, I'm dead. And I know that sounds morbid, and I know that sounds a little cuckoo, but
No, it doesn't
the
sound
thing is, that's John. That's John. That's his sense of humor. He was quirky. He was funny. He was dry. That's exactly what he would have said to me if I had been driving down the highway yelling, where are you? Where are you? What happened? He would have just said, I'm dead. And so I knew that was him. I knew that was him. And there are lots of examples of that. He's still with me.
None of this is crazy. Communicating with the other side, it's an energetic experience that in your soul and in your body, you feel this resonance, a vibration.
Yes.
And then when that message comes, it's as clear to us as it is to somebody seeing that the sky is blue.
Right.
And all of those communications are real.
Yes, I agree. And I feel so close right now at this stage of my life to the three closest people to me that I've lost: my brother, my mother, and my father. I feel very close to them. I feel their presence. They are around me, and I continue to learn from them, even though they've left this earth.
And
this
Katie,
plane.
so much of my healing journey has been integrating this spiritual connection with the other side. You and I have been containers for people in our therapy office
Right.
to speak their truth in the 3D world, right? But over time, what you and I have been able to do is we've increased the resonance of our frequency, of our vibration.
Okay.
And we've been able to be safe portals or vessels for not just humans in 3D, but for spirit. And it's not scary for us.
Right. I don't feel afraid of that. I've always had a very, very, very strong intuition, and I've used that to navigate through life pretty much. It's been my way of traveling this world. And I've often thought about people who, say that they're psychics or mediums, stuff like that. And I think it's just a higher form of intuition. I really do. I think it's just tapping into a vibe, a wavelength, an energy that is always there, but there are people who are more tuned into it.
And that's the point of this show, is to help people clear all their channels so that they can start practicing different rituals, some esoteric practices to connect with the other side, their own intuition, their own gifts. Because if we can all do that, we'll be more integrated, we'll be more healed, and the world really needs that.
Right.
Now more than ever.
Agreed.
I want to talk about your career in film and TV.
Okay.
You've been an integral part of the art department on big productions, Captain America.
Right.
I think of the TV series Mama Flora's Family. You brought that gift of artistry and that artistic vision to film sets. What took you to film and TV?
Well, when I was growing up, my aspiration was applause. I wanted applause. I wanted love. Really, it was love. I mean, if you really get past everything, deep, deep down, I think I was born with a longing to be loved. I wanted love. I wanted love. And I had a lot of love to give, too. And I just saw the singers on TV and the movies and everything, and I thought, I want to be famous like that. I want everyone cheering for me. And it was just a dream that I had, as a child.
I remember a really funny story that you shared about salamanders, or sardines.
Sardines.
And was this for Captain America?
No. This was a commercial that I was doing toward the end of that career. It was a Cartoon Network commercial. I remember that. And it was we needed to have, for this promo, a giant pile of real whole sardines.
Wow.
And they're not the little tiny things. When they started to thaw out and it was the day of shooting, they exploded.
Oh my goodness.
So all the guts and everything came out of them. So I just looked at my boss and she looked at me, and I grabbed a needle and thread and I took all the sardines, which were in a big, giant rolling bin.
Oh my God.
And I sat in the parking lot. It was about 100 degrees that day. And I remember sitting in the black asphalt with a needle and thread, and I was sewing sardines guts
God.
back in. And I thought, I'm going to stay in school. I'm going to stay in school. I'm not meant for this. I'm going to do something different.
Well, you're one of those like citizens of the world. Like, you know, like you'll listen to mantra and kirtan and Indian music and rock and roll.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
But some other really cool things about you, singing, you just kind of glazed over that. But singing's been a big place for you to shine your light. And
Yeah.
it's been an outlet.
Yes.
Share more about that.
Well, I grew up listening to my mama sing, and she used to sing, you know, she's from Tennessee. She was from Tennessee and sang back up on the Grand Ole Opry when she was a teenager and growing up, and then, and was a clogger, a dancer. And she sang to me. She sang to me all the time, even in her illness, even in, you know, the alcoholism. She was always singing to me. I heard her music. And I grew up just singing all the time in the car and with my mother in the woods by myself in my room. And I realized it was something that I loved. Music was filling my spirit at that time. It was kind of saving me. So I went on, and, you know, I've had lots of different incarnations of various bands, Katie and the Cocktails, and different, you know, rock and roll bands, blues bands, rockabilly, stuff like that over the years.
The one thing about you that I've learned a lot from is this ability to embrace archetypes.
My mom taught me that. My mom, who was also a therapist in her, you know, after I grew up, she was a therapist. And she taught me about archetypes and that they're very powerful and that we need to understand, you know, the various archetypes that exist because we can call on them. We can actually call on them to give us strength and shore us up when we need it.
I immediately think of you on stage when you're singing, and it's this sassy, fiery, sensual goddess that's just like this portal of like love and
Wow.
and it's
Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen you. It's a whole different dimension.
I grew up when I was very, very young child, loving Marilyn Monroe. I saw the image of this blonde, gorgeous, to me, she was a goddess. And I was obsessed. I got really intrigued. My sweet mom used to say, "Oh, she's just a vapid movie star, and don't you, you know, idolize her. She's nobody to idolize." Of course, I didn't know about her death at that point and why my mother was so opposed, but I just loved Marilyn, and I always had her pictures in my room. Even as a young child, I put up posters of Marilyn Monroe. And as I got older and grew into a teenager, she was very much an archetype that was present for me in my life, the archetype of Aphrodite. And it was wild and amazing and pretty scary sometimes too.
And I identified, we talked about the sexual seductress, and so much of that archetype, it can be wanting the power and the, you know, and the attention.
Absolutely.
And it can be a really scary archetype.
It's a force, isn't it?
Oh gosh, some of my greatest downfalls have been when I occupied that archetype. And you were able to help me see it so much more clearly. Tell me more about some of the other archetypes that you've identified with. And I know as therapists, you know, you and I have never been in the business of diagnosing
Right.
and giving somebody a DSM
Right.
disorder. We've always been very holistic and integrative in how we see patients. Easily, if we were to be diagnosed, it would be dissociative identity disorder,
Probably.
right?
Yes.
But for people like us that have been survivors of some very deep trauma and attachment trauma, having these different parts of us and identifying with these different archetypes was our saving grace. To be able to step into these archetypes during disassociated experiences.
Right. Right.
And that has been our superpower. And it's what shows up for you sometimes when you're singing in front of an audience. It's what has shown up for me, you know, when I'm working on performing. So it's so interesting that, you know, in the Western medical model, we would be mentally ill.
Right.
But with an integrated approach, which you have, which I've, you know, been practicing in my life, it's really healthy.
There's room. There's room. And it's necessary for me. I'm so glad that my mother told me and taught me, you can call upon these goddesses. You can call upon the archetypes to help you, to assist you. And I didn't really fully understand it until much later, but I always had that in me and thinking, okay, I can do something and call upon Artemis, you know, and shore myself up with her strength. And I can do these things if I need to. So that was a real gift that she gave me.
I remember we would refer to Persephone a lot when I was in that kind of like that dark shadow underground space, secrecy and being a little bit manipulative
But very much in the mystical realm.
yes,
Rabia.
yes, you know, but being able to see myself through that archetype. And over time, what I've learned is my connection to the deities like Ma Kali. They are personification of these archetypes.
Right,
And that is why, you know, spiritually, when people access the deities, it's very similar to Jungian psychology.
Right.
But eventually, you decided it was time to go through a maturing process, and you said, I'm ready to devote my life to healing the world. I'm going to return to my roots. And you decided to go to grad school, and you worked toward your licensure, and you met the love of your life.
I did. This I feel strongly about, because the love that I wanted, that I craved my whole entire life was so, that longing was so powerful, Rabia. I just can't even express it. And I was 28 years old before I even had an inkling of consciousness, I think, of waking up and realizing, oh, the common denominator in these, you know, broken marriages and difficult, tumultuous relationships and all of it is me. And I realized that I needed to do some real healing at that point. That's when I really began this journey. And I was alone for a long time. I stayed single in my 30s for a good portion of it. I did date some people, but I was single for a long time and longing for love the whole time. I wanted it, but I also knew that I wasn't willing to settle. So I did 4 steps that I came up with. Number 1, grieve fully. Number 2, self-explore. Understand yourself biopsychosocially, right? Number 3, define what you really want and what you definitely don't want. And number 4, surrender it, turn it over, and believe it. And I didn't believe it when I first started doing it. I have to point that out, because I've told this to other people in therapy sessions, and they'll say, believe it? You got to be kidding me. And I'm like, yeah, you don't have to really believe it at first. Just, it's the intention. I leaned into it, and I did it consistently and consciously every day. And I said, higher power, I believe that you have this great love for me. I have this longing in my heart, and I know you know my heart. So I believe that it exists, and I'm just here waiting and ready. And it was a long time, but finally, once I got into Georgia State and was doing psychology full on, that is when I met Jonathan Jones, who is absolutely the love of my life, my beloved. I'm so lucky to have him. He's in a wheelchair. He's a quadriplegic because he had an accident really, really soon before he got into college. So I knew, I could see and tell that he was newly injured in this wheelchair. And I thought, oh my gosh, what is this wheelchair guy doing here? I was just so amazed and interested, curious, really. So I sort of scooched my chair closer and closer each day and finally got up the nerve to ask, hey, did you do rehab here in Atlanta? I'm just curious, about your story. And he told me that he'd been in a diving accident and had severed his C5-6 spinal cord on the bottom of the lake that he dove into. It was too shallow. So he hit the bottom of the lake and broke his neck. And I was fascinated. I was absolutely fascinated. And we became dear friends, study buddies, really, and good friends. And very slowly over time, which was a first for me, this friendship morphed into a tremendous love that's still happening. He is technically quadriplegic. Yeah.
And here you are, a power couple. He is part of Pinholster Family
He's a
Counseling.
therapist. That's right.
Helping people to heal and rehab from their own addictions.
What keeps him going is that sense of, I'm doing something to make a difference. I'm planting some positive seeds. And he's quite remarkable. He has quite the struggle on a daily basis, but he does it with so much grace. There was one song that I used to sing a cappella that's an old Duke Ellington, and it goes like this. You ain't been blue, no, no, no. You ain't been blue till you've had that mood indigo. It's that feeling that goes stealing down to my shoes while I sit and sigh. Go long blue.
Singing the blues.
Singing the blues.
Yes.
Love to sing the blues.
Yeah. It's just, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely.
sharing that. When did rock bottom hit? I know there's eating disorder.
Right.
I know there was drugs, sex,
Right,
rock and roll.
Right. Yeah, the early partying, drug, sex, rock and roll stuff started young. I was probably 13, 14 when what I didn't understand is that I had a choice. I didn't understand that there was choice in a partner, in who you allowed into your inner circle. I didn't understand that. I was quite the feral child going into adolescence, and I matured overnight, it seems like, physically. So I did go from being a little girl in a physical form to this sort of grown-looking woman at the age of 13. And a lot of attention, a lot of dark attention came my way. And not everybody's motives were pure. And I went through a lot of pain. Giving my body over to various men, various guys, at that young age.
Sometimes rock stars.
Sometimes rock stars backstage, sometimes on a tour bus, sometimes, it was not pretty. And it was lonely and it was empty. And I look back at that girl and I feel so much compassion for her, that teenager, that lost, angry, I think she was so alone and she wanted connection. She wanted love. And over that seems to be the theme. And I thought that's how you get it. at that age. I thought that's what you did. I was divorced at the age of 21, and then divorced again at the age of 24, and I just didn't get it. And it took a long time for Jonathan Jones to walk in, or roll into my life, rather. And, thank God he did.
You also work with a big population of women who are kind of going through that middle life
Right.
transition. How do you support them?
What I do is focus on self-actualization for these women and individuation. It's the process of coming more fully into self, into authentic self. And it's real difficult to sort of lay that out verbally, but it's a process that takes it can take a lifetime. Mm-hmm. I'm still in it. And this is what I try to convey to the women that I work with, is that you are growing, you're changing, and you can come into yourself more fully. You can know yourself more fully and more deeply, and feed your soul. Actually feed your soul with life-affirming things and people, rather than, again, just being sort of blown about, to wherever the winds carry you.
And I think that that's a cultural messaging, especially for our generation, that we're supposed to be people pleasers and put on a pretty smile.
Oh, I grew up thinking that the pretty princess, if I could just be pretty and skinny and smile and be sweet, then one day my prince would come and sweep me up and carry me away on a beautiful horse. And guess what? It's bullshit. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It was a myth.
Think about your grandmother, the suffragette. She was fighting for women's right to vote.
Yes. And she got in her father's ear, the governor, and he actually was the deciding vote. Tennessee was the deciding vote for women being able to have the right to vote. And so she was a part of that. She was a behind the scenes part of that, but she was tough from day one, I think. I think my grandmother was a force.
Talk about some powerful women in your family, in your ancestry.
So many.
And here you are.
So many.
Doing such amazing work. You're just a powerhouse.
Thank you.
And you do it with such grace and tenderness and nurturance and love, but you change lives every day. That's what you're in the business
Thank
of.
you. I can only hope to plant some seeds of light. That's really my goal when I go in, but thank you for those. That's kind words.
Katie, when I was setting up your green room today, and I thought, and it's Isla's room, and I thought, this is where it all started. And I've raised a daughter.
Isn't that interesting?
I've raised a daughter who she advocates for herself. Yeah. She knows her worth. She's true to who she is in the world. You helped me break the curse of my culture, my family, and my lineage, my ancestry, my experience. And you helped me find self-advocacy. You helped me push to learn how to speak my truth. I'm in a place now where that's my mission, to hear as many people speak their truth and just be an advocate for their authenticity in life. And what a gift that it's come full circle.
I love it. I love you.
I love you.
I love you so much. And I can't even tell you. You are such a gift, Rabia, and the courage, the badassery of it all. You amaze me. You blow me away with your bravery.
And angels like you have been on my path. And in those really, really tough moments where I was at those crossroads where I had to decide, do I take the path that's going to be scary and treacherous, or do I take the easy road?
I'm just really honored to be here and to share these bits of story with you.
Yeah, you're definitely part of our tribe. This is
Nice.
Yeah, just giving the world offering of love and service for nothing other than the goodness, how good it feels to just shed our love
Right.
on the world.
If one teenager can hear me and believe me, that this isn't just some old crazy bat talking, and they can really understand this is true, what I'm saying.
Some people will call you a witch. Some people will call you a bat. Some people will call you that woo-woo, but that's who we are.
Right.
We're change makers. We're pioneers. We shake shit up.
Bring on the woo-woo.
Yeah. So, Katie, thank you so much for coming. Pleasure. Oh my goodness. This
Love
means
you.
the world to me. Thank you for being here.
That's me, Katie.